Ladies and gentlemen, now for your official introduction. The fighter fighting out of the blue corner, weighed in at 184.3. He's at 21, stands at 6'1". He fights out of Farsley Combat Centre and hails from Leeds, James Big Bass Harrison! And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, weighed in at 184.3. He's at 25, stands at 6 foot tall. He fights out of Ludus Magnus and hails from Leeds, Carl Luke! Your referee, Mr. Neil Hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to UCFC 6 here in the beautiful city of Doncaster, England. My name is Pierre Guillet. I'm joined today by none other than Grant Waterman. Grant, I tell you what, we're here at the home of the Doncaster Rovers at the Keith Moat Stadium, and what can I say other than wow?
It's an incredible venue, Pierre. We've got 10 fights with 2 titles on the line and a pair of MMA legends fighting in the main event. I'm buzzing and I know the fans can't wait. And here we are with the first fight.
Now Big Baz, as he's known, is in the black sprawl with his opponent out of Ludus Magnus, name of Carl Luke, in the black and white shorts.
Yep, Carl's a boxer. He said he was buzzing backstage. I said, "What's your plan?" He said, "Well, I want to get in there and make friends," which obviously means the absolute opposite.
Well, when talking with his coach, Neil Wayne, he actually said that he had a black belt in barroom brawling.
Another Tank Abbott protege, no doubt.
Well, he comes out usually pretty fast and he throws bombs. However, James Big Baz has had other ideas of his own, taking him straight to the ground. Big Baz is on the top looking for a potential guillotine from that 50-50 position up against the cage.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's got the right angle, and he's in a butterfly guard of his opponent. Perhaps we'd like to see Carl stand up from here. Just a bit of feeling out, perhaps. These guys at this lower level, you know, they have to pace themselves. They come out like steam trains sometimes, but they just don't realise the pressure of an event of this size in front of a home crowd. They can gas pretty quick just through anxiety.
And I'll tell you what, when you're beginning out in your MMA career, I myself know a lot about that nervous energy, that energy that zaps you but goes nowhere.
Yep, I call it a tsunami of adrenaline. These guys try to squash it or ignore it. You ignore or try and squash a tsunami and it wipes you out. You've just got to get on a surfboard and ride that tsunami to victory.
Well, I'll tell you what I like. I like the type of movement and the tenacity that both fighters are showing, but I'll tell you what, Big Baz is controlling it on the floor. Good positioning, he's not rushing it, and he's looking for his spots.
Yeah, you're right, he's controlling the fight, but I'd like to see some more strikes being thrown. He can hammer fist from there. There's no real submission attempts going on, although they are going for position. There's a guillotine here. Is he going to jump guard? No, he's out of it. He sprawls. Big strikes being thrown.
Now, Carl Luke is showing why he has a black belt in tub room brawling. I tell you what, he loaded up. However, immediately, James Big Baz looks to re-accomplish on the shoot and has his back up against the cage now. And I tell you what, those were dangerous times there for James Big Baz Harrison.
Yeah, you're right. He seems to have one game plan, take his opponent down. But, you know, with someone who's got heavy hands like Carl Luke, maybe that's the best place to take him.
Now, as pointed out by Brian Colonna, who is here at cage side with me, Big Baz, even though he's been the more aggressive on the ground, is actually bleeding, I believe, from the nose or maybe a small cut. We'll have to see during the break.
Yeah, he's marked up around his left eye as well. And that's the end of the first round.
Now, I'll tell you what's surprising for me, Grant, is that I thought that James Big Bag Harrison took it with the takedowns, of course, the ground control. However, when both fighters got up, it looked like Harrison took the more of the punishment, because there is not one mark on Carl Luke, and he looks like he's confident as ever.
You're right. James Harrison controlled his opponent, Carl Luke, but Carl must have landed some strikes in there. The damage has been done to James Harrison. You know, it depends how the judges see it. We've seen this so many times before. Some judges will show a preference towards ground wrestling and control and takedowns. But in my view, if you take your opponent down and don't do anything with it, is it worth scoring? But really in that round, that was a difficult one to score.
Now we're having a doctor being called up to the cage. The injuries that were sustained by James Harrison may be more serious than what we thought.
Well, these guys, although this is a huge fight card, you know, these guys are lower level guys. I think the referee, Neil Hall, has asked for the eye to be looked at. From where we're sitting, it didn't look like there had been too much damage done. But, you know, the referee is the closest guy to the action. The fight is off. The fight's off.
Now that has to be a big blow to both fighters. However, saying that, Carl looks to throw his hands up in a celebratory fashion. However, I'm gutted for James Big Bass Harrison. I would have liked to have seen the fight progress to the next round, as I think both guys had more in the tank to give, Grant.
Yeah, you're very right there, Pierre. You know, they felt each other out. They knew what each other's game plans were at the end of that round. They would have come out a lot more explosive in the second.
Fighters to the center of the cage, please. Fighters to the center of the cage. Ladies and gentlemen, after conclusion of the first round, the fight has been concluded due to an injury sustained by Mr. Harrison. Therefore, your winner, Carl Luke! Please show your appreciation for James Harrison.